Hi there, my name is Emerence Lodice. I am going to be talking to you about my research paper on cultural misappropriation in popular culture. Um, Throughout the development of the United States, it has been very obvious that many cultures have been misappropriated typically by white men or white women, and it is no different for Native Americans. One of the There are many different ways that we have misappropriated Native American culture. One of the most prevalent ways that we have done this is through singing red face. This essentially stems from and is related to blackface, which is when white Americans or white men in general, typically minstrels back in the day, would dress up as African Americans and paint their faces black and perform for an audience. And they would depict all of the negative stereotypes of being a black man. And this was translated into the Native American culture and was brought into that to where the white men would do the same thing with Native Americans. However, singing red face could also include things such as operas or any type of performance really that would involve music. Another way that we have misappropriated Native American culture is through racial antipathy. Racial antipathy is a direct correlation of red face and blackface for their own cultures. It is basically a dislike or opposition of a race. We have also used cultural confusion, and I think cultural confusion, a lot of it stems from not knowing the history of the culture, because in the United States, one of the big problems is that our history books are written by white men, and we don't have the right research or history books that actually depict all the different cultures we have in the United States, especially for the Native Americans and the African Americans who live here. So I'm going to talk about two different musical examples that portray playing Indian, as well as racial misappropriation and just really destroying the Indian culture through song. And one of them, a very well-known song, it's called the YMCA. It's by a group of singers called the Village People. And one of these singers in the group is dressed up as a Native American Indian. Now, he has said that he is Native American. Probably, he said that he's Lakota, but after he had said that, he also said that he could be Apache, so it's very unclear as to if he is Native American or not. But either way, he, as part of the group, performed in such a manner that the other group members really portray jobs and just different types of people instead of actually portraying a culture, which, being dressed up as a Native American is really portraying the culture itself, not just, the character of a Native American. So this is not a good example of what Native American culture is or what they dress like. And so that's a great example of that. Another one, which is just way worse, it is in all senses of the word just as horrible as you can get in actual, now times. And that is the song Apache by the group the Sugar Hill Gang. It was written in 1981, so it is very recent, which just makes it way worse. And they not only dress up as Native Americans, they also have a background that has a teepee, and their lyrics are very stereotypically bad connotations of what Native Americans are. They have a pipe that they pass around. They use very derogatory slurs towards Native American women. The word that they use is squaw, and it's just a racial slur that shouldn't be in the social media at any recent time at all. So the next thing I want to talk about is Peter Pan. So Peter Pan is a huge example in our book, and it's ironic that it's a Disney movie, because really the things that they put in this movie about Native Americans should never be in a child's movie. They do also, like the previous example, they do use the word squaw during the scene with the Native Americans, and it's very off-putting to see that in a child's movie. In the book, it talks about specifically the song "What Makes the Red Man Red," and it is stereotyping every negative stereotype that Native Americans have. In the scene, you can see the chief and everyone in the tribe passing around the pipe, and some of them look sloppy drunk, and some of them look just not put together. And that is not the right way to, show what a culture is like, especially in a child's movie. And it's also an issue because as a child's movie and as a Disney movie, a lot of it makes children want to dress up as these specific characters and think that it's okay to pretend to have a powwow and really just play what should be a culture that we should really pay attention to the culture instead of really just the stereotypes. And Peter Pan is not the only Disney movie that does this. Another one is Pocahontas. Though Pocahontas is portrayed in a different way, there's not a lot of those stereotypes portrayed in Pocahontas. However, the problem with Pocahontas is also, again, just the playing and the dress up, and at Disney, it's huge. People want to be Pocahontas for, Halloween and things like that, and it's not the right way to do it. But the other problem with Pocahontas is that the movie is not historically correct. So portraying that in a movie, especially for children, it should have a little bit more of a historical background to it rather than just being a movie and romanticizing it. So that's a big issue with the historical accuracy of that. And just as much as they didn't use as many of the stereotypes, it really does impact the Native American history in this country. So one thing about Singing Redface that I had found was that there were 2 Redface operas that were written in 1951 or early 1950s, and these performances were written by white women, and they really were trying to depict the differences in cultures, but not just the differences in cultures. They wanted to make sure that white people were viewed in the opera as being superior to the Native Americans. So not only are they using Singing Redface in the operas, they're also trying to make white people think that they're better than Native Americans and think that they're of a higher quality of person. And I found that very interesting that that was able to actually be an opera that was performed. Now, when you think of, Native Americans now, the big problem is even though red face and dressing up is not viewed as politically correct anymore, there are still issues that have not been discussed, such as Thanksgiving is a huge time for issues, especially for children, because there are a lot of schools who teach children about Thanksgiving and the first Thanksgiving Day, but they don't give them a full background. They don't give them the full history of it. And they do put on these plays that still have children dressing up as Native American Indians, and it's still viewed as something that is okay, and it should not be. And really what we need to do as a culture is we need to be more culturally aware and bring history back into our history books, but history of all people of the United States, not just the white man. We really need to focus on strengthening those areas so that there is no more cultural misappropriation for Native Americans, especially in pop culture, because pop culture is the number one way for people to learn things nowadays, which is sad. So that is my whole research paper, and I hope you like it. Thanks. Bye.